Boom, boom. Uh-oh, Joe Shelby got a podcast. Woo! Not gonna lie, folks. I've got a wild one for you right here. Maybe the wildest story I've ever heard. Not really sure where to start or how to say this, so I guess we'll just get into it. There once was a man named Leftarius, and people said he was the scariest. And if that wasn't weird, listen here, my dear. His brother's name is also Leftarius. That's right, y'all. There is a man out there named Leftarius. And I think it's safe to say that something is obviously a little off if your name happens to be Leftarius, especially if you're white. Not that that makes him a bad guy, but at the very least, his upbringing is quite suspect. Especially on top of that, his brother's name is also, not kidding, Leftarius. No, they're not twins. And yes, he's white too. Anyway, I'm sorry, but what in the Sam Hill is going on here? What in the actual Jerry Springer is happening? I'm not really pro-abortion or anti-abortion or whatever. I think it's circumstantial. Like if you know you're not fit to be a parent or you're not willing to take on the responsibility, by all means, do what you gotta do. I'm not saying you should abort your child all willy-nilly, but if you're gonna have two kids and name them both Leftarius, you absolutely should. You should do it twice and without even thinking. Hell, I'll even chip in. You're better off naming your kids Willie and Nilly or Millie Vanilli or anything other than Leftarius. I mean, unless you arrived on this earth via time machine, it should be an absolute felony to name your offspring Leftarius. And of course, neither of them actually go by Leftarius. That would be ridiculous. They go by Manny and Terry. What? I mean, I can kind of see how you go from Leftarius to Terry, but Manny? How do you get Manny out of Leftarius? Why not Lefty? Or why didn't they call him Right-Tarius right out of the gate? I would probably let that slide. Also, it should be noted that they're actually both right-handed. So I don't know why or how in the HE double hockey sticks, which spells fuck by the way, either one of them is named that in the first place. Let's get real. Manny is short for Manuel, and that's it. Or maybe Mancules, if you're one of those guys who's afraid to name your kid Hercules because it has the word her in it. But still, you don't choose Manny. No one chooses Manny. Manny is a last resort kind of name. For real, those have to be the three worst names on this planet. I mean, what kind of life are you envisioning for a kid named Manny, Terry, and or Leftarius? All I can think of is Mexican, plumber, and I don't know, maybe rapper like the Leftarius B.I.G. Whatever the case may be, it's an uphill battle with names like that. And I'm talking Everest. Anyway, get this. I also know this girl who has dreadlocks. And she's white too. Yeah, one of those kind of people. And not that there's anything wrong with white chicks sporting dreadlocks, but in my opinion, it's sort of the female equivalent of naming yourself Leftarius. However, I will give her some credit in that she actually pulls them off quite well. She's actually kind of hot, all things considered. Let's call her Diaper Rash. So this chick Diaper Rash used to date Leftarius. Terry. Diaper Rash used to date Terry. And as you can imagine, Diaper Rash was a bit of a freak. Hence the dreadlocks and dating a guy named Leftarius. Anyway, Diaper Rash had a fantasy of being with two men at the same time. And if you ask me, that's not all that weird, you know? Certainly not the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Certainly not the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I think one of the weirdest things I've ever seen was a porno, a skin flick, where a stepbrother and a stepsister got it on like normal people. And look, I imagine that it's not actually real, okay? I'm sure they're actually just mattress actors and actresses playing a role. And if it were real, yeah, that would be kind of weird. I mean, I guess it doesn't officially constitute as ancestry, and I'm only calling it that because I don't think YouTube wants me to say in. So yeah, it's not necessarily ancestral, but it's certainly towing the line. Anyway, like I was saying, Diaper Rash had this fantasy of being with two guys at the same time. But no, her fantasy didn't end there. She actually had higher aspirations, bigger dreams, stranger desires. She wanted to be with two brothers at the same time. I'm talking real brothers. Well, lucky for her, she knew a guy named Leftarius. And even more lucky, he also knew a guy named Leftarius. So I think you can see where this is going. Long story short is, Diaper Rash had a menage a trois with Leftarii, which I'm pretty sure is the plural of Leftarius. And if it's not, let me spell it out for you. Diaper Rash had a Leftarius sandwich. No lettuce, no tomato, extra Leftarius mayo. Is that not the craziest thing you've ever heard? Anyway, I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting a little hungry. Uh-oh. Before I get into this next thing, I think it's important to say that I have no stringent political affiliation. To me, it's like arguing who's better, Jordan or LeBron. Politics is sports for nerds. The donkeys versus the elephants. I'm not a Democrat, nor am I a Republican. I'm just a guy trying to get through the day and stay the hell out of the zoo. On certain issues, I'm liberal. On others, I'm conservative. If anything, I'm probably more of a libertarian than anything else. But also, I don't believe in the Green Party, a third party, and I've never watched Party of Five. Nor do I believe in the Tooth Fairy, Santa Claus, or even Krampus. Let's be honest. Ross Perot was a joke, Ron Paul was a fluke, Ralph Nader was a sham, and Strom Thurmond was a derelict. As far as I'm concerned, there are only two parties, Coke and Pepsi. No one drinks RC Cola, not even the homeless. So let's stop pretending. But I will say this. Over the past few presidencies, doesn't seem to matter who it is, everyone is screaming fascist. If the right wins, the left hollers fascist. If the left wins, the right bellows fascist. So if you ask me, it sort of sounds like no matter which way you flip it, we're living in a fascist state. And no one wants to live in a fascist state, you know what I mean? That's Hitler shit. And the only good thing Hitler ever did was try to reinvent the mustache. It looked terrible though. I'll definitely give him credit for that. I mean, surely he wasn't the first person to ever do the sniff stash. That's what I call it at least, because it's 2 fingers wide and it reminds me of fingering chicks because I'm always like... And there's a reason no one's doing it anymore, because it's god awful. And thank God, am I right? But what does that say about the future of our country? What does that say about our present situation? It's only getting more and more wild too. It's almost as if we're leading ourselves right into it. Fascism, that is. One party pushes things one way, and then the next term, the other party pushes it the other. Then, of course, the one party pushes back harder the next term. Then the other party pushes back harder and harder the next. Then the one party pushes back even harder and harder, and then the other party pushes back even harder and harder and harder. It's bound to implode. We're already clashing. You can't say anything anymore without pissing somebody off. And worse, you can't even listen to anybody anymore without getting irate. All I know is politics are gay. You're gay, I'm gay, we're all gay. We all just need to kiss and make up. Instead of cussing at each other, let's all just kiss. That's what I'm going to do at least. Next time somebody says something that pisses me off, I'm just going to kiss them right on the mouth. I'm going to use some tongue too. And I know what you're thinking. I'm a fascist because I said gay, I'm one of them. Well, too bad I want to French kiss Al Sharpton. Yep, I want to lick his teeth. I might even sniff my fingers afterwards. Now what? What now? Now? What? I can't do it now, he's not here. Otherwise I'd be balls deep up in that pruny ass. Is that gay? I was always told it's not gay until the balls touch. But like, mine are touching right now. Now what? What now? What the hell is going on? For real. A man was gunned down the other day in front of his wife and kids and people are applauding that? Are you kidding me? That's disgusting. Despicable. Absolutely unscrupulous. And look, I'm not a gun guy or in the NRA or whatever. I'm not a hunter. I barely fish. I do prefer red meat though. When the George Floyd thing happened, I was out there with you all. When 9/11 happened, I joined the Army Reserves. Anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is, never in my life have I seen such a horrific and tasteless response to a tragedy that has happened on our soil. Last week, I saw a side of this world I've never seen before. It's truly heartbreaking. Really, it is. It's really been bothering me. Really, truly it has. And that's okay if it's not that big a deal to you. But if you're applauding it and cheering it on, you are dark matter. I don't care what you thought of the guy, that kind of bullshit is unjustifiable. Hate begets hate. And don't forget that. So I'll say it again. Hate begets hate. Hate begets hate. That's right, hate begets hate. In a nutshell, I guess what I'm trying to say is, you're not doing yourself or any of us any good if you're spreading hate like that. In fact, you're only making it worse. Divide and conquer. That's how we lose. And that's the game we're playing, and right now we're losing bad. And who is we? Well, that's all of us, idiot. So do me a favor and get yourself together, would you? Grow the fuck up.
Uh-oh.
Isn't it crazy how the news isn't actually news? You know what I mean? Like, the news is news. It is new information. So it is in fact news, but it's hardly ever relevant. Hardly ever worth a damn. You feel me? Like, let's say there's a big altercation somewhere nearby, and that it ends up being broadcast on your television at 5 p.m. and again at 11. And we all know what that means, right? That's a big altercation. Clamorous, you might say. But in the grand scheme of things, it didn't really affect us in the slightest. And I can confidently say that because we watched it on TV from the comfort of our home. So like, how is that news really? I mean, it happened. It took place. It is a news story that recently occurred, but like, why do I need to know that? So that I'm now afraid to walk down that street? As if every time someone walks down that street, something insidious might occur? Well, that's kind of a ridiculous concept, isn't it? If that was the case, there'd probably be some sort of police presence there, you know what I mean? To hopefully stop it from happening or whatever. Epictetus once said, "Man is not troubled by the events, but the meaning he gives the events." And Kanye once said, "Ain't nothing on the news but the blues." And I just want to say, I think news stands for not even worth saying. Because really, unless it's happening to you, it's not even really worth mentioning because it's not affecting you. Take this for example. My girlfriend recently got some really bad news. Yeah, she was recently diagnosed as lactose intolerant. The thing is, she kind of thought that was the case because every time she'd eat pizza, she'd end up shitting her brains out. And that sucks. For her. Big time. But like, I'm still eating pizza all the time. If anything, as far as I'm concerned, that's good news for me. Excuse me, sorry. I take that back. That's great news for me. Because now I get all the pizza. And on top of that, whatever toppings I want. And maybe that's good news for her butthole or whatever. And of course, we're now saving tons of money on toilet paper. Look, I'm not saying I don't care, but like, what the hell am I supposed to do about it? It's not like you needed to know that either. In the grand scheme of things, that's just news for her. Some people are saying there is genocide taking place across the pond. And that sucks. That's not something I want to hear at all. You might even say it's heartbreaking. But like, to be honest with you, I'm still doing my thing, severely unaffected, which is good news for me. I'm still playing video games, watching my shows, playing with my dog, doing whatever I want, doing the same things I've always done. News like that only really affects me when I'm watching it, and then it's more so infecting me, mind, body, and spirit. It's crippling, mind-altering, brain-schisming, earth-shattering. It's a goddamn atrocity. And the only reason I know that is because I've seen genocide before. Not firsthand, of course, But we've all studied history. We had to. And what is history? Well, that's just old news, really. We've all seen Schindler's List and read Anne Frank's diary. It's painful, isn't it? Hard to imagine. Hard to believe that anyone could be so cruel. But unfortunately, it happened. And of course, we don't want it to happen again. That's probably why we're so stringent and uproarious about the news. A real double-edged sword kind of thing. But really, the reason we care so much is because we don't want that happening to us and to those we love. I'm not saying we're not empaths. I mean, maybe some of us aren't. I don't know about you, but I can confidently say that I am. So it's hard not to care, not to feel, not to empathize with those getting the brunt of it. But man, it's hard to watch. It makes me feel hopeless. It makes me feel powerless. It makes me scared. But it's hard not to watch. Hard not to be aware. Because I don't want that shit happening to me, to my family, to my dog. Because fuck you. Not you. Thanks for watching. But fuck you to those bringing evil to my door. Fuck you to those imposing war, sanctions and tariffs and strong-arming the poor. I think hell is real, whether it's made up or not. I've done some mean stuff before, and I still think about it to this day. And when I think about it, when I relive those moments, that's hell for me. So yeah, hell is real. I know that for a fact. And I'm trying to avoid that fiery turmoil at all cost. It's tough though, you know? Because not knowing, not caring, not being aware almost makes you complicit. But then again, what the hell am I supposed to do? Move to another country? Join the fight? Hide in someone's attic? I got news for you. I'm not doing that. And I'm not doing it for the same reason you're not doing it. Because who would? So I guess I'm in the same boat as you. I'll just be a bystander and hear about it on the news and say to my friends, damn, can you believe that's happening? And they'll say, oh, isn't it terrible? We must pray for those people. And so maybe we do, and maybe we don't. But then after that, we go about our day as if it never even happened. And in a way, since we're safe and remotely unaffected, I suppose it sort of hasn't. It's just news. Not even worth saying. Anyway, I'll leave you on this. Something I already said. Well, something Kanye said. Something I already said that Kanye said. Ain't nothing on the news but the blues. You can't get any more real than that.
It's